Hello and welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you back with us. We've got two special cars here today we're going to be taking a look at. We're going to do another side-by-side comparison, and you might have seen the video that we did on the MGAs, the Mark II and the 1600. And today we've got a pair of Austin Healeys. Now, we featured this Austin Healey before, 1953 Austin Healey 100, but what we've got right next door to it is an Austin Healey 106. So it would be the next generation of Austin Healey after the very first one ever produced, first year 1953, which this is car 302 off the assembly line of the first year of production. This car over here is a 1958 106. So they restyled it, and they also put a 6-cylinder motor in it versus a 4-cylinder. So we're going to take a look at some of the details and some of the changes they made, which is pretty significant as we go through this video. So stay tuned. Hey, and if you like classic car video, give us a subscription. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. Hit your notification bell notification bell so you can get all the updates as we have them, as we bring new classic cars to you, new old classic cars, that is. So anyway, let's take a look first at the side-by-side comparison between the Austin Healey 100 and the 106. Now, these two cars here are both in Healey blue, and before we look too closely, I'll tell you also exactly the same interior specifications. Healey blue with the white piping. Come over here to the 58. Healey blue with the white piping. Now, we have already looked at this car, and I'll put the link in the description below if you want to see the whole video of it. But basically, this is a 2-seat roadster. The top folds down right here behind the seats. You've got a very simple 2-piece steel dashboard with your instrumentation on it. It's a 3-speed with overdrive. And then over here, these Austin Healey 100s they're a little bit longer cabin, much easier, much more comfortable, a lot more room. You've got the jumper seats in the back. The top bow comes out and gets stowed behind right here. This lifts up, the top bow goes back here, it's completely hidden. When you're ready to put the top up, you stick the bows in these little holes right here and put the top on it. It doesn't fold down and stack like it does on the later BJ7s and BJ8s. But anyway, the only upgrade to this car is the Mona Lisa steering wheel. Originally, this car would have had a banjo steering wheel, just like the 100 over here. You can see the instrumentation is a little fancier and upgraded. This car also has the overdrive, has kind of the traditional oval dashboard, what they call the traditional Healey dashboard. Healey blue carpeting, and this car here is a real driver with that 6-cylinder motor. Taking a look at the back, the addition of a reflector here. The bumpers are almost the same, and I've lined them up. The hinges are the same, the trunks are almost the same, bumper overriders. But one thing you'll note here is the exhaust pipe. You've got a single exhaust pipe here on the 100. The 106 has true dual exhaust and a split manifold coming off the motor. Very robust sound comes out of this 106, and we'll do an engine side-by-side comparison and let you listen to the exhaust. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So here is the first one, is the 100 with the 4-cylinder. Some people call them a 104, but they were never really from the factory called a 104. Your 100 was a 100, and it had the 4-cylinder motor. Then the 106, of course, had the 6-cylinder motor. So let's take a listen to the 100 exhaust. Okay, so you've heard the 100 exhaust. Let's take a listen to the 106 exhaust, and that's coming out of these dual exhausts right here. Much more raspy, and this car's going down the road and you're accelerating, it's got a note to it, and everybody hears you coming. So let's take a listen to the 106 exhaust and the 6-cylinder motor versus the 4. Okay, now that we've listened to the exhaust, you kind of get a flavor in your ear of how the different motors sound. And I'll open the hood in a minute, and we'll kind of look at the motors and talk a little bit about them. But before we do that, let's just take a look at the styling. The grill changes here from the 100 to the 106. You've got kind of the oval, I call it kind of a catfish mouth of a grill, and this long swooping hood with the hood scoop, versus this has a more of a brick front end and goes straight back. This hood folds forward. This hood on the 106 comes up, and you can see how short this hood is. These cars are pretty much the same length. I'll line them up windshield to windshield, and you move ahead. This car sits higher off the ground, but really you've got a little extra room between the fender and the bumper on the 106 than you do on the 100. So that adds a little bit of length in the front. But interestingly enough, these cars are about the same size, even though look how much further back the cockpit is over there on the 106 than on the 104. You've got all this space in here, which is really spare tire room. The spare tire sits up on a shelf in here. So the extra cockpit length comes at the expense of your trunk, which is fine. And end to end, you can see that the 106 is just a few inches longer, but same latches, same everything. So let's open the hood and take a look under the hood, and I'll show you the difference in the motor and some surprising things about that. So you've got hoods that open two different ways on these cars. Obviously the 100 opens from the back to the front, and then once they went over here starting in 56 with the 106, they opened it traditionally from the front, and that's the way it stayed for the rest of Healey production all the way through 1967. But you can take a look, and we'll just do a real quick side-by-side comparison. So here's the 4-cylinder motor. All right, I put my hand here for scale. 4-cylinder motor, and I'm gonna tell you something about the size of these two that's gonna surprise you. Here's your 4-cylinder motor. You come on over here. Here's the 6-cylinder motor, okay? So both of them have the twin SUs. 6-cylinder motor here, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And back over here, the 4-cylinder motor. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the surprising thing that many people don't know is that the 4-cylinder motor in the 100s is bigger by displacement than this 6-cylinder motor right here. The 6-cylinder motor is 2600 and 20 cc's. This one over here is like 2640 or 50 or something like that, but there's about a 20 to 21 cc difference smaller in the 6-cylinder motor than the 4-cylinder. So anyway, a little bit of information that a lot of folks don't realize. You always think the 6-cylinder motor is going to be bigger, but this thing is super slick and smooth. We'll take it for a drive here at some point in another video, and hopefully by the exhaust sounds and so forth, you can just hear the snappiness of the 6-cylinder compared to kind of what a 4-cylinder traditionally sounds like. But other than that, you know, you've got a relocation and a different area for the brake master reservoir and things like that. But you know, kind of the same radiator on both of these, but obviously completely different engine and drivetrain between these two cars. So let's close the hoods up again, and we'll show you a couple of details on the front and wrap it up. So we got the hood closed on these two beauties, and like I said, we went over the differences in the hood, the front, and everything else. I'll tell you something about the 106, and this is the styling that went all the way through, basically with some little bit changes here and there with the roll-up windows and the folding hood versus the top versus the removable top. The one thing on the 106 is you've got this gorgeous line right here that runs down the center of the hood. It's kind of almost a reinforcement line in the steel, but this line right here in the center of this hood is only on 106, and that is an outstanding feature, and it's probably hard to see in the video here, but your 106 hood has this crease right down the center, this little detail, which is the only year for that in all all the rest of the 6-cylinder big Heelys. So of course this one has chrome wires and the Vertesteins, a little bit larger size for driving purposes. This one has the Michelin XZX tires, which you can see right there, the old traditional XZXs, which are old as can be. But this car is set up for driving, and that's what we do with it. So anyway, we'll take this car out here in the next video. We'll take it on the interstate. We'll have this car at speed, and you can see just what a pleasure these big Heelys with the 6-cylinder with the overdrive transmission is on the highway. And this 104 also does a very good job on the highway. But if you want to travel a 106 on up, BJ7, BJ8, all the way through 67 is the way to go for a car on today's interstate speeds. These cars are simply amazing with that 6-cylinder motor and overdrive. So anyway, this is Doug, and that's going to pretty much do it for the comparison of these two Austin Heelys. So if you like classic car content, hey, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you, and stay tuned. And I think next week we're going to take this big Heely out and we're going to put it through its paces. So take care, y'all, and have a great day.